Greetings and salutations wherever you're either watching us from or listening to us from. This is Heartfelt Conversations with Wedera Kibinda. And yes, I am Wedera Kibinda. What an awesome few weeks it has been. Thank you for commenting, sharing our content, telling people about us. We are really, really, really grateful. Allow me to give a special shout out to everyone who has partnered with us to ensure that you get quality content right at your doorstep. And you can be part of this great network by just sending a text with the word partner to 203-610. Well, today, again, an out-of-the-box conversation. Today, I'm a student of life, outside looking in. And I'm here asking, what do men really want? As a mother, as a wife, I have really found myself asking myself that question many, many, many times. So because I can't answer it or I have no idea and I'm limited in that knowledge, I got the experts to join us. So I am joined today by Mr. Mwongera Mutiga. He is the founder of the Legacy Project, whose main objective is based on fatherhood and raising the next generation of godly fathers. Welcome, Mr. Mwongera Mutiga, to Heartfelt Conversations.
Thank you.
And then I am joined by a great young man. He's a student of life. He's dynamic, does many things, but puts it in a box to say he's a designer. He loves painting and many other little things. Dynamic is a word. And I'm joined today by Mr. Steve Carey. Welcome. Karibu sana, Mr. Steve Carey.
Thank you, right there.
This is Heartfelt Conversations. Mr. Mutiga, if I may, or Mwongera?
Yes.
If
Mwongera
I
works.
may.
Yes, you may.
My audience would love to know you just a little bit more. So tell us who you are, what do you do, and in God's green earth.
Okay. So I am primarily a husband and a father. Mm-hmm. A lot of the work I do, my image, my brand is all about fatherhood. As you mentioned, I run a project called the Legacy Project, which is all about fatherhood. I do a lot of work in the area of parenting and fatherhood, but that's all on the side. So I actually have a full-time engagement.
There's another... No,
I work full-time.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I'm in the tech space, so I'm part of a tech organization. I do marketing for them.
Yeah.
It's a long story, but basically we're pioneering a new area of technology.
Wow. I thought technology has reached the end. There's still more to technology.
We have not even started.
Oh my goodness.
The things that are ahead of us,
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's
Wow.
amazing. But so that's sort of my full-time thing. And then I do all this fatherhood stuff on the side.
Uh-huh.
I'm married. I've been married 17 years.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's almost a citizen, your marriage.
Yes, that's right. Next year will be, I guess,
Yes, an adult.
our marriage will become an adult.
Yeah. Well
We have an
done.
adult marriage.
Yes.
Yes. So my lovely wife, Danica, and we've been blessed with 3 kids.
Wow.
And we're happy. We're good.
That's good. Mr. Carey. Now over to you.
How do you top that?
Yeah.
Everybody has their path
As
in
their
life. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, primarily I am a designer, digital designer to be specific. I also work as a consultant for corporates in terms of graphic design, web design, UI, UX. So I'm in that space.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it for me.
And that's rich
Yes.
because I think we all start from somewhere.
Yes.
And I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I want to start us off with Proverbs 1:8. Our conversation, our heartfelt conversation, usually has a foundation and says, "Hear, my son, your father's instruction, and not forsake your mother's teaching." Mwongera, how did you land in what or was an experience that led you to start thinking parenthood, thinking fatherhood, thinking mentorship?
Yeah. Well, it's the whole conversation has gone in a circle. I mean, when I started out on this journey, it was based on my own personal experience as a dad.
Yeah.
I started doing parenting related work. This is maybe 8 or 9 years ago.
Wow.
And what happened is we went through a class with Dr. Mukolwe, parenting class, raising future parents.
Yeah.
So we did that class, and it just transformed the way we look at parenting generally. And afterwards we had some conversations with him, and we ended up getting involved in the ministry. So we're actually part of the class that teaching that class.
Yeah, at Navigators.
At the Navigators.
Yes.
So former navigator.
Oh, you are?
Well done.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Circle gets smaller and smaller.
It's smaller, yes. Yeah.
And so, just having a sort of like a closer look at parenting from a teacher's perspective, because I'm a parent, but now when you have to teach it to somebody else, it kind of brings it to life in a different way. I felt very strongly, very very early on in my parenting journey, that there's a big disconnect between what mothers go through and what fathers go through, and that parenting, at least from the early stages, is geared a lot towards the mother. That the mother is prepared, she's given all the tools and everything. She's really doing all of the work, if you think about it. And the father is kind of just there. And it's very easy for a man to disconnect at that point from the whole thing. And so, just based on my own experience, I thought it would be good to just share what my experience was. I tried to be as involved as possible with my kids from the early stages. My wife can tell you if that was successful. I don't know, but so I just realized that there's a big disconnect, and I can share my experience to help other fathers who I feel were probably as lost as I felt. Because I felt lost. I felt like I'm useless. What am I doing? All I'm doing is being sent to pick things.
Yes.
So
just go with the flow.
You just go with the flow. You've got no control. You've got no real role. So I felt I'll share my experience, and that gave birth to this whole work I've been doing around fatherhood.
Wow.
It's gone in a whole circle, because my late dad was a big inspiration for me, in terms of fatherhood. At that time when I was starting, not really. It was more like, this is my experience. But going through it, you realize, and dad had some work.
Yes.
I respect him so much.
Yeah, hats off.
Hats off to him. But it's just been going around in a circle, and we've gotten to the point where I'm realizing that fatherhood as a concept is something that's really not very well understood by society. And I think it's at the root of many of the issues we have as a society.
Yeah.
And just, men being more engaged and involved as fathers is one way to really transform any community. So in a nutshell, that's sort of been my experience. We started in 2019 on fatherhood in particular. And it's been about 5 years or so of this kind of work.
Wow. As a girl who was fathered, if I may, I think that's very, very profound.
Yeah.
Because we just seeing it, and you just feel like men are in this kind of thing, and like you're saying, be sent here, be sent there, and then Steve Carey, what's your perception on fatherhood as a young man? You're growing up, you're discovering yourself, and what's your definition of fatherhood?
Teaching. And correcting and training. I think this is the navigator coming back. We had to memorize verses, and when you asked the question, the verse that popped in my head is 2 Timothy 3:16. All scripture is breathed by God, the All Father, and is useful to teach, correct, train in righteousness. So fatherhood for me, I would use my dad's example. My father is a great man. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. So shout out, Dad. And he first of all, when I hear him speak about bringing up children, he says, be friends with your children. And he has said that for so many years, but it's only recently that it started to make sense to me. Like, why you're a parent, why do you need to be your child's friend? But when you think about it, it's more about relation. How do you relate to your children? Are you this figure that when you walk in at the end of the day, kids run to the bedroom? Or are you the one who walks in and the kids drop everything and they run to you?
Wow.
So that's what fatherhood godly fatherhood
Good.
means to me.
Looks
Like you're that kind of person your kids run to.
You do,
whether they're happy to see you, whether they're going through something.
Yeah.
Both children,
Toddlers,
and adult children as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Are you that person whom your kids can count on?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I love that. I love, because it's a realization I had after my father rested was that men share a title with God. Your father, you say Father God, and you have another human being you call Father.
Yeah.
But Mongera, we're in a world that we always hear.
Yeah.
Man up. Be a man. What now? Allow me, because I'm
Yes.
limited by my gender. What does it mean to be a man? When we're busy shouting those on the hills, be
Yes.
a man.
Yeah.
A man up.
Wow.
First of all, is that an insult?
To tell someone to man up?
Yeah.
No, well, not really an insult. It's more like a call to action. Like,
Okay. Okay. Fuchs.
what's
okay.
going on? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you? Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be an insult depending on who says it
Oh.
And
okay.
context as
and
well.
the context.
And wow.
So it's tricky, but generally it's a call to action. I think it's an interesting question, right there, to be honest, because I feel like the definition of masculinity or man or being a man has shifted over the recent years. There's a sense in which being a man was different for my grandfather
Yes.
or my great grandfather than it is for me today, or it will be for my son in the years to come. Because a lot of society's definition of masculinity is based on activity. It's what the man is supposed to do.
Yeah.
That you're defined by what you do.
Hunters.
You're a hunter. You're a protector. When people invade the village, you fight back.
Yeah.
You're the one who provides. You bring meat, literal meat on the table.
Yeah.
So there was an activity that was required for you to earn the title of a man.
Yeah.
And that has been overtaken by time because some of those things are now done by the people. So if it's protection, there's systems for that.
You delegate.
You delegate. There's a watchman,
security
there's a dog, watchdog.
My goodness.
You buy a premium doggy so that it can protect you.
Yes.
It doesn't become the man of the house. You're still the man of the house.
Oh, okay.
So the definition has shifted.
Yeah.
When you talk about provision, these days, the woman, the wife, can provide just as well as the man.
Yeah.
In some cases, better than the
Let
man.
them be the man.
So the provision angle of it is no longer the definition of masculinity. And I think that's the challenge. And I'm kind of going around in a circle to answer your question.
Yeah.
I'm beating around the bush, but I'm doing it for a reason. That because masculinity has shifted so much, one of the challenges that we have as men is being able to find our space and to latch onto the thing that makes us men. Because we don't know what that is
Yes.
anymore.
It's like gas.
It's morphed. It's not where it used to be. The thing that my dad used to say, my dad would come into the house and he'd be very strict about certain things. I can't pull such stance in my house because it's different now. It's a different time. And so to answer your question, roundabout manner, I think masculinity is about personal identity. It's about who you as a male individual, how do you identify yourself regarding your purpose in life, regarding your role in the society that you're in, and also regarding the legacy that you're going to leave behind you. And it's complex to put it in one sentence, but I think just in summary, that's what how I'd define a man. You can make and take responsibility for decisions.
I love that. Steve, I'll ask you, do you, in your young, I don't know, what we call it, masculinity era that you're in right now, do you ever go to bed and think, oh my God, what legacy have I left? I mean, and Mongera has experience, but as a young man, do you go to bed thinking, that is legacy or that's part of legacy? And then, first answer that, do you ever sleep and think about that?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
But personally, I don't ask myself that question because at the stage where I am at, yes, I may not have a wife or kids, but there's something that I'm chasing. Like going to Mongera's point about purpose. So the question I ask myself is, have I chased after my purpose today?
Well done. Wow.
Have I done something today that has made me better than I was yesterday? Whatever it is, whatever your purpose is. Not even the word purpose gets thrown around like here and there, but purpose means, to me, it means, are you better than you were yesterday? Have you done something that is pushing you to your goals?
Yeah.
Whether it's health-wise, have you reached your steps today?
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah.
Have you gone to the gym today? Have you had a healthy meal today? You know, like small things.
Yeah.
Have you journaled today?
You journal?
Yes, I do. Although not every day.
The fact that you
But you
journal
do.
as a man,
But I do.
I think that is
It's a big deal.
unique.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Have like small things that help me be better than I was yesterday. So that is the question as a single man who is yet to get to where Mongera is.
Yeah.
That is the question I urge even all men to ask themselves.
Wow.
In addition to
What he has said.
what he has
so
said.
As that young man, my God, I'm surprised you journal, you keep check of, have I been better than yesterday? Wow.
Yeah.
What challenges then do you face in your I hate the word manhood because I think just puts you like in a whole village, you know, all of you guys. But in your growing up towards that godly man that God has called you, what are some of those challenges you look at and say, hey, where? you know, where by itself is a statement.
It's a sentence. It's a paragraph.
Yes. Yeah.
Emotional challenges. I think in the men space, we really don't talk about our emotions.
Those feelings, is that what you say? Like
Not feelings.
Oh, feelings are different from emotion. Today I'm a student. Forgive me. Anyway, continue.
There's usually a gray area for men. I don't know why. Your feelings and your emotions, there's usually a gray area there. And there's a very thin line.
Yeah.
So I would say emotional challenges, like, because those are the challenges that are not really seen, but they are very, I would say, fundamental.
Yeah.
Things like stress and depression, because like mental health challenges, if like to put it in a box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because for men, we haven't been provided with a space where our mental health is a priority. For us is, what value do you bring?
Yeah. What do you bring to the table?
Yeah. You have brought something to the table. You're good.
Good.
Yeah.
And then, they are like God's mercies. They are new every morning. So you can't keep telling us about what you did yesterday.
What you did yesterday, it's constant. And when we fail, because we fall short, there is not that much grace. So that contributes to now the mental health challenges.
Yeah.
Because you're like, being a man has been put, like there's being human and then there's being a man.
Wow.
So the humanity of us men is non-existent.
Separate.
Yeah. Wow. So I'd say main challenge is
Mental wellness.
Mental wellness.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because from that everything else flows. Because if you see a man who is happy, who is keeping his mental health in check, he's emotionally healthy, he is doing a lot for himself and a lot for the people that are under him and around him. Yeah. But if you find a man who is not, who has not done the work, like mentally and emotionally, you find he is the man who is struggling. But, and struggling, I don't mean financially, I mean even socially, spiritually, intellectually. Like he's just a shell of who he is destined to be.
Wow.
And it all starts from how well is his mental health. Yeah, and I would say that is the biggest challenge in today's age.
Yeah. I, on behalf of all the women in your lives, in your environment, allow me to apologize because, I think it's alluding to what Mongera said about masculinity is about activity.
Yeah.
You're continuously doing.
yeah.
And then what you say, you fall from, and there's no grace enough. Grace is
There
all.
is, but it's not enough.
It's not sufficient.
Yeah.
Father God, have mercy on us. I don't wonder if you have something to add before we run into a quick break.
No, that's very powerful, Steve. I mean, I think as men, we are constantly in performance mode.
Yeah.
That you hit the ground running all the time. So you're running constantly, and the measures are often not clear, or the goal is constantly moving. So you never know whether you've hit it or not. One day you think you're going in a certain direction. You're like, "Sir, today was a good day," and then you're told, "Actually, you need to."
Yeah.
So I think again and again, it goes back to how we were raised and how masculinity is just defined generally.
Yeah.
That there's that sense of performance. You have to be performing. You have to be up to a certain standard. There's a certain bar that's been set. You may know it. You may know where it is. Or most of the time you don't,
You
which is
don't
why
know, but
you
there's
keep
a
getting
bar.
stressed. You know there's a bar, and you keep being reminded. By the way,
This is the bar.
this is it.
can't
You're
fall
not.
short.
Yes, and when you're not meeting it, then it's clear, and it's a very frustrating place to be. Some people thrive in that idea that I'm performing, and there's always something harder to work towards.
Yeah.
But for many people, especially if there's no sense of achievement, that you've done it and it's done, and you can tell that you've actually hit that bar, then it becomes a source of frustration. Another emotion that I'd add to what Steve has said is the emotion of anger. That many men are walking around angry.
Oh dear.
And anger is one of those things that simmers. It's under the surface. What we see, people responding, you see people fighting in the streets and all that stuff. All this manda that's been going on recently, a lot of it is driven from a point of anger.
Yeah.
People are just angry. And for men, that's an emotion that a lot of us live with. It comes from many places. Sometimes it's your dad who was a bad guy, or your dad said something to you, or your mom said something to you, or there's just some things happening in your life, and the underlying emotion is anger. So I think that's something that as men we need to figure out how to process. And processing is now a whole different story, because I think processing for men is very different than it is for women.
Oh yeah.
And maybe we'll talk about it today, but
Yes.
that's part of the challenge, that we are expected to process in a certain way, and when we don't, then there's a label. You're childish, or you're not working hard enough, or there's something of that sort. But that's what I'd add to what Steve has said.
Oh my. I need us to go on a break, just so that we may, pause and reflect. And when we come back, we just get deeper into this conversation of what do men really want. Today, I must confess, I am just a student. I'm outside looking in and just hoping that I will learn for my generations. So catch you after the break.
We are living in a lost and broken world, constantly bombarded by messages of hate and atrocities. But with God, we can overcome. Find hope and restoration on the go through life-changing shows on the Family Media app.
And then you will lose yourself and gain the world. And Jesus said, what good is it?
Get to stream Family TV and Family Radio 316 straight from your phone. Catch up on a show you missed, or create video streaming playlists by saving and watching videos from our huge variety of shows at your own convenience. Download the Family Media app, available for all Android and iOS users on the Google Play Store and Apple Store, respectively. Family Media, keeping Jesus on the airwaves.
Welcome back wherever you're watching us from and wherever you're listening to us from, either on Family TV or Family Radio. My name is Wedera Kibinda, and you're in Heartfelt Conversations. And today we have taken a deep dive. I always say Heartfelt Conversation is a safe space. And today we are talking about, what do men really want? Today I've said I'm a student of life. I'm a student of this topic on what men really want. And I'm joined by the experts themselves. I'm joined by Mr. Mwongera Mutiga. He's a founder of the Legacy Project, and he does many things around fatherhood, parenting. He's a husband. He's many things. But I'm also joined by a dynamic young man, Mr. Steve Kiarie. who is just giving us a little bit, a glimpse of what it means to be a young man in this society. So back from the break, Mr. Mongera,
Yeah.
and I want to ask you, what are the challenges that older men go through? Today, I think the bomb in my face today is masculinity sounds like activity. But what are those challenges? Steve has mentioned what it is for young men. It's mental wellness.
Yeah.
So is it the same for older men?
Yeah, I think it is. I think I never. Today is the day I've been referred to as an older man.
Yes, older as compared to Steve.
Yeah, no, I mean, increasingly, I'm confronting that reality
I
in
know,
different
I
aspects.
know.
Yeah,
Yes.
one of my friends, his daughter is getting married.
Oh,
Yes, so I'm rushing. I'm on a committee for rushing, and I'm on
My
that
God.
committee which meets in the room. Eh?
yes.
That-
You're in that.
So I'm an older man. I have come to
Oh,
accept
my
that.
goodness. Okay.
But I think what happens at my stage where I am now, I think that dynamic still plays out. But there's there are more, the stakes are higher. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
I have to think about more people. There are more lives involved.
Yes.
So it's not just me. And I envy Steve because there's a place, there's a luxury he has.
Yes, of me, myself,
It's
personally,
just me.
individually.
Just my board meeting is one person.
It's one person.
And there's a level of freedom that he has that I don't have.
Like you can't wake up and go hiking.
I mean, there are so many things to think about. I can't just wake up and say, I don't like this job. I'm just going to move and do something else.
What is that?
What do you mean?
Okay, I'm a student.
So
I'm a
how
student.
do you, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think my experience has taught me that the stakes are higher. And so some of the decisions that I make are going to touch on many more people. And my dependents are more. So I have to think about those things.
Yeah.
It doesn't take away from the depression. I think there's also a way in which you get kind of fixed in your ways at a certain age, where you do things in a certain way, and it's just the way it's done, and you're able to organize your life around that way of doing things. So I think there's a bit of liberty in that sense. It doesn't necessarily take away from the pressure and the possible mental health challenges that do come, and they do come, and I do have them as well.
Yeah.
But it does give me a level of flexibility to then sort of order my life in a certain way. They say that older men tend to be more fixed in their ways.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Me, I'm a creature of habit. I just find something that works
And
I just stick to it.
Don't
Yeah.
fix it if it's not broken.
I don't have the pressure to fix certain things. Society doesn't expect certain things from me as it does for younger guys. I think there's a certain hesh that older men have. I've experienced it. I've been a beneficiary of it. Where you come into a place and because people recognize you being a certain age, they kind of defer to you in a way, and that helps you do things. You can sort of, the pressure is a bit off in a way. It's weird because the pressure is on because of you're older, but at the same time pressure is off because you're older.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a paradigm, an oxymoron. You get to a point where you just realize, I'm not trying to impress anyone. You're less bothered by people's opinions. Just like, what? You don't like me. I don't care. That's you.
Yeah. It's a you problem.
It's you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a you problem.
Yes.
And I just go about life the way I want. My issues are compartmentalized. That this is an issue for me. That I could make that an issue, but I don't have to, so I won't. And I just leave it alone, and I focus on what I have to deal with. So I think that's sort of been my transition so far.
Okay. There's this word we've been throwing around, and the day I defined it in my terms, I think I got liberty. And maybe, Steve, I'll throw it to you.
Okay.
Who is this person we're always calling society? Because it's like what we say, cartels. But there is something somewhere there, this big thing,
Yeah.
we call it society. It gives us pressure. It has expectations. It has set the bar. But for you as a young man, who do you define then as society that you'd have to live within those confines?
I think society in this context is just everyone around you, like what you see in your daily life. Like, for example, if, let's say, you've just been at home and then you have to go maybe to the supermarket. Since supermarket is kind of like, sini hapa tu. I'm just going here. I'll just wear sweatpants and a t-shirt and I won't even comb my hair.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's why Mongero envies you.
I'll just walk out.
Yeah.
Because I think I've gotten to that place where I don't feel the pressure of what people think.
And that's very liberating.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
So with that, I think society is what is very, I think it's us being in our heads a lot and thinking, what will people say about me? That's society.
Yeah.
And we live in that, or rather we find ourselves trapped in that bubble of what will people, now if I go to the supermarket with sweatpants, t-shirts, I won't even comb my hair.
Yeah. What will people say?
What will people say?
Yeah.
So, and I think that stems back to, I would say for me, like back in the day, you couldn't go, for men, you couldn't walk around with unkempt hair.
Yeah.
Because you'd be,
and dreadlocks.
you'd be picked up.
Yes. Yeah.
There you go.
So now I think for me, my parents were very, they instilled the fear of, if you have unkempt hair, you are always a suspect.
Yes.
No matter where you
So that's society.
So that's society.
puts-
Society now that gives it the definition of what will other people think, say when they see me in my normal self, in my authentic form.
And that society is now giving you guys, you know,
Yeah.
I'm outside today. I'm still, I think we need to remember that
Yeah.
about feelings and emotions. And from my gender, where I stand as a woman, we always say that men don't know how to express themselves, or they can't. I don't know if it's knowing, I don't know if it's something you know, it's something you learn. But what is that? What is men and emotions and not expressing?
Well, I think there's this notion that men don't have emotions,
Yes.
which is not true. And I think the challenge with all of that comes from the definition of emotion and the definition of how emotion is processed or experienced. So, there's a way that a woman or maybe a child would deal with when they're upset, how they process that emotion, either the anger or the fear or the frustration. There's a way that it will be dealt with, but men deal with it differently. And I think then the popular or society, for lack of a better word, would say that this guy is not processing, or he's not emotional, he's not showing his emotions. Yet for a guy, dealing with frustration is very different. Guys deal with it differently. A guy will want to go put on soccer boots and chop at that ball.
Yes.
Unleash all his frustration on that ball.
the ball,
And once it's done,
He's good.
he's good.
Yeah.
Right? No tears, nothing.
Yeah.
And the other guys who he's
Journal.
sad. He journal. Yeah. The guys who do it.
Yeah.
It happens.
They're in
And
this room.
there's some in this room. No names mentioned.
Yes.
And there are guys who, when they are sad, they want to go to the kitchen and cook.
Wow.
Yeah, I know someone by there who that's his release. He goes and he whips up like some serious gourmet stuff.
Wow.
So the processing is what's different. Many times society places men in a box because they say that what you're doing in terms of processing your emotion is childish. It's what boys do. So you want to go and play PS for hours.
Yeah.
And a woman will think, what are you doing? That's what are you 12?
The chewing gum of the mind. You are just there clicking buttons.
Yeah.
What is that?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yet for the guy, that is therapy. It's like going for therapy sessions. It's 2 hours of pure, unadulterated pleasure. He's enjoying himself thoroughly, and his life is going to be so much richer and better.
Yeah.
So I think there's a disconnect between how men actually process emotion and how society, and especially the women in their lives, expect them to process it.
Yeah.
And men sometimes get ostracized for it and told how this is not healthy. What you're doing is not healthy. It's childish. You need to grow up. You need to do stuff.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, this is how I process. This is how I think. This is life. When I leave here, as soon as I come back into society, into circulation, I'll be so much happier.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let me
It's for the benefit of all of you.
Yes.
I am well.
This PS game, I'm playing it for you guys. It's not for me, it's for you.
It's just
Okay, I'm kidding.
If somebody
no,
is listening,
you're right. It's very right.
I start mouth again. I know, like what?
I think the thing is, we really have to allow men, let me speak as a man,
Yeah.
allow us to process the way we understand things. Don't put a box on what is considered appropriate in terms of processing emotion or in terms of dealing with what's happening, stress, fatigue even.
Yeah.
You think if someone's tired, you go and sleep, right?
Yeah.
For some guys, that's the time you want to go do something else, something active. And it refreshes you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we just need to let guys process, let guys be, let men be men. Don't think of what they're doing as being bad or toxic or anything sort.
It's
how they do it. Let
give
them do
space.
it. Let us do our thing.
I am lost. I am still in the forest, and I'm sure many women are benefiting today, whether single or married. This is, if you're watching, if you're listening to us, this is how future looks like. So be prepared. Steve, as Mongera is speaking,
Yeah.
I want to ask you, how does vulnerability look like? Therefore, so there's this is how I am. Let me do me.
Yeah.
But how does vulnerability look like for you as a young man?
I think I can answer it in two parts.
Yeah.
More like 1A, 1B.
Yes.
1A is why am I being vulnerable?
Oh, why?
Why?
Okay.
We haven't even gotten to who am I being vulnerable to, is
Excellent
why.
question.
Why?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why am I being vulnerable?
Okay. Give me a hypothetical answer. Yes.
How that looks like is, let's say you're in a bad space mentally.
Let's say a heartbreak.
Heartbreak. Okay.
Yeah.
It's more of wanting to sort out, I'm feeling sadness.
Okay.
To sort out the emotions that you're feeling at the time. Because
Anger.
you see, like, when in heartbreak, you feel a lot of things that are negative.
Sometimes relief. But
Sometimes
it's your
relief.
story, it is your story.
Hypothetical.
Hypothetical, yes.
So you're feeling sad,
Yeah.
and you're feeling angry, and you're feeling bitter, you're feeling resentful. So it's more of why am I feeling like I need to release? And then who or what am I using for release now comes later. Like Mongera has expressed, for other men, for other men, it's video games. That's how they process. As long as their method of release is not toxic. Not toxic to themselves,
Yeah.
toxic to the people around him. And also, is it making him better? Like now for video games, it's a very good release. I advocate for that. But now the threshold is if you are there for more than 2 hours, now you have a
I
problem.
was about to say a week. Okay, 2 hours. 2 hours is the threshold. Okay.
No,
Yeah.
no, I would say for healthy.
Okay.
Even scientifically, because video games, they are very they're very stimulating, and you're releasing a lot of dopamine, and with a lot of dopamine, like these are the hormones released when you feel good.
Good, yeah,
feel good,
hormones,
like when
yeah.
you eat,
Yeah.
when you spend time with people you love.
Yeah.
But now if you do it in excess, your receptors get short-circuited.
Okay.
They get fried, and now you want more of it.
Oh my God. Okay. So
now
now it turns into an addiction.
Addiction, exactly. That's how addictions happen.
Hey.
Yeah.
And so it's really about why am I being vulnerable, and who and what am I using to get that release?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that vulnerability looks like that
Yeah.
as you grow up and
Yes.
But one advantage I think you have is that you're very self-aware. But there's someone else, who's on the other side in the forest.
Yeah.
What would you say vulnerability looks like, Mongera?
Well, I think, and I'll go back to what Steve said, because I think it's very important, very powerful. That question of why. Why am I being vulnerable? Because, traditionally, vulnerability in men is not encouraged.
Yeah.
Society, people don't want men to be vulnerable. They say they do, but men get punished for it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
talk to me. What's happening?
Yeah.
Then 5 years down the line, you remember 1940?
You told
Yeah.
me.
You told me.
I was there.
Yeah.
And there's also this expectation that men have to have their stuff together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a family setting, it's not healthy. I don't even think it's biblical for a man to not have clarity about what his purpose in life is and what he's doing. There's an expectation, reasonable or not, that men have their stuff together. And when a man doesn't have his stuff together, guys get confused. It's like, think of it like the CEO of a company.
Yeah. How
He
we are
comes one
lost.
day and says,
Where
"You
are we
guys,
going?
man, I don't know what's happening. I have no clue where this organization is going. I just
What if
don't
he's a
know."
man?
Yes, it's like the vision. I just don't know what's happening. I don't know.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, and it just throws everybody off.
Yeah.
There's some people who say, "Okay, yeah, it's good. He's telling us how he feels, and it will help us."
Just public participation.
But
Yeah.
that doesn't work. If you think about it in real terms, men are expected to have their stuff together.
I think
So vulnerability is tricky because on the one hand, it's useful. It has its purpose. It has its use. And I guess maybe the vulnerability then is done within a certain very curated context so that it's helpful for the man and does not destroy the society or the people who are affected by it. But vulnerability is not always a good thing. And it needs to be done very carefully and within a very careful context so as to not upset things.
not to, I like what you're saying, not to upset like the ecosystem, the environment. Therefore, in that regard,
Yes.
how then do you go as a man? Do you even build? Do you find, what do you guys do? That safe space to say first, like in a marriage context, my wife is safe. Like I can tell her this, I can trust, I can do that. Or in a context like this with the other men to say, hey, you guys, where? I don't know where the company is going or I'm struggling with this. So do you find a safe space and how does that even look like?
It's an excellent question. I think, so it depends. I think everybody has their own approach. The bottom line is that you need to have a space, that safe space. For some people, it's the wife. For some people, the wives can't handle that vulnerability.
But Tessa, why is she the wife? So, wrong topic.
Wow.
We need another 2 hours for that topic. But there's a lot of families that struggle because the wife just can't handle the husband's vulnerability. He expects her to be comfortable with him being down and low and all that. And she's like, boss,
I don't need this.
I don't need this, man. You're the leader. If you don't know where we're going, then we're not going anywhere. And so that vulnerability then is wasted in that context.
Wow.
So it depends on the family, but I think it's important that the man finds that space. For some people, it's a group, a community of like-minded men. And you just go there and just tell them, guys, this is what's happening, and they'll lift you up, they'll give you a pick-me-up. For some, it's a mentorship kind of setup, where you go and you have other guys younger than you who you're sort of helping. And as you do so, you giving in that way sort of stabilizes you and helps you to then find your path. For some, it's an older guy or a bunch of older guys, like a mentor, someone who you go to and he tells you,
guys have that because from a woman perspective, we are hearing people are struggling with that.
Well, it's not easy to find mentors who have your best interest at heart.
And that's why you have the legacy project.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if you're being honest, guys have stuff to deal with. Guys are under pressure. There's
all
issues.
of us have issues.
So you don't want now another guy to start giving you his issues. Because that's what a mentor does.
This line is becoming too thin.
So finding a good mentor is not easy, which is why a lot of guys don't have them. Someone who's genuinely interested in your best interest and somebody who you can actually go to with stuff. And he'll not that he's going to just let you pass, but he understands you enough to treat you in the way that you need. It's either a swift kick to the behind or, just a pat on the back or a good joke to make you laugh and then you get back in the field. So a good mentor is hard to find. And that's why very many people don't have them. But, you have to find a way. And as a guy, it's part of being a man that you have to organize yourself around what you need.
Yeah.
Do you advise men to have mentors?
Yes. It's very useful to have someone who's ahead of you. There are decisions that are coming in your life where you need an older person's perspective because you don't know what you're dealing with. You
Does
don't
it
know what
have
to
to
expect.
come with age? And maybe I want to ask Steve that question. Does a mentor have to come with age? Or does a mentor come with experience? 1A, 1B. But for you as a young man, do you even have a mentor? And what do you look for if you have one?
I would say I don't have a mentor, but there are those men whom I look up to. And we will have conversations and I will feel more empowered and more, I would say, relieved that I have someone who is ahead of me and someone who understands where I am at in life because he has gone before me and he sees himself in me in this season and he's able to guide me properly. But I would say for mentors, it can be, you can have different mentors for different.
So it's like a buffet.
Yes.
I like your leadership. I like how
Yeah.
you raise your children.
Yes, I like your how like if it's a skill that I'm learning, I like how my mentor teaches. Like I want to get to where he is in that aspect. So to answer your question, whether it's age or experience, for me it's both. Age, it comes with like the trajectory of life. You are like 18 years old, 25 years old, you're in your 30s, like myself. But when it comes to things like experience, there's a methali that says, is it kuishi kwingi kuona mengi?
Yeah.
And you may be learning from someone who is younger than you, who is better at something that you want to learn. For example, I'm learning how to paint. It's a hobby I'm picking up. And I find like my instructors are people younger than me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like how we've just understood a bit. It's not even the tip of it. I don't know. It is the dot in the ocean.
Yeah.
But there's a woman listening or watching, and she's so bitter and angry on GBV matters.
Yes.
Because men are said to be the greatest perpetrators of gender-based violence.
Yeah.
And like what you said is anger. You release anger in, instead of going to find a fellow man to fight. So there's GBV.
Yeah.
But I want you to address that from a woman listening and she's angry and bitter. But also from the other side of the coin, that men also go through gender-based violence.
Yeah.
And we are there looking for atulichapwa na mwanamke.
Yeah.
You are beaten by a woman standing.
Yes.
What-
A whole man.
A whole man. Like the anyway. Please, God, please help us.
Yes. There's there's a couple of things happening there. I think first of all, let me state categorically that there's no justification for GBV.
Whether for male or women.
Male, female. I mean, there's just no justification for it. It's wrong. Period. It shouldn't happen. There's no reason why you should release your anger on somebody, especially somebody who, you're stronger than. A lot of the people who do that are bullies and cowards.
Wow.
So they won't go and fight with men their size. They want to beat someone who's smaller, who's just there.
Yeah.
It's frustration, it's weakness, it's wrong. Period. I would say also that, for a lot of men, because men have a lot of energy generally.
Yeah.
So for them, processing emotions is about directing that energy. So for some, the energy goes into a video game. For some, the energy goes into beating up somebody.
Oh, wow.
And it's wrong, but it's coming from a place of release of frustration. I would say that I think it's important that if somebody is in a situation of gender-based violence, that they should get out of there.
Okay.
You need to get
whether
out
it's a marriage setting.
Marriage setting or not. You don't die because you're trying to prove a point.
Yeah. Marriage works.
Marriage works.
Oh, God
For a lot of people,
forbid.
that's the thing. Let's be honest.
Yes, tell us.
For a lot of people,
it's a heartfelt conversation.
Yeah.
they are basically staying in that marriage because family has said you have to go back there, or There's something
God
that
says,
Their
God
children.
hates.
or there's economic factors that this guy is the breadwinner, he's the one who controls everything. And so you feel like you have to stay there, you've got no choice, you've got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
I would say, yes, that might feel that way at the time, but it's not worth losing your life to stay afloat because God is good. He'll provide. He'll take care of those kids. He'll take care of you. So if you find yourself in a place of GBV, I would say do your utmost up down to get out of there. It's easy for me to say that coming from a man sitting on this side of the picture. I know it sounds
all together and perfect.
it sounds easy for me to say.
Yeah.
But there really isn't any other way to put it. You know, there's nothing good about it, and it has to stop.
Yeah.
If you can, you need to get out of there. Having said that, you know,
Men who go through it, yeah.
men go through it as well, and there's a lot of stigma about GBV for men. Because, like you're saying, we laugh about it now, but it's real. I mean,
Yeah.
Even at a cop station, you go report.
how do you
it.
explain?
Yeah, how do you explain you got beat up by your wife?
And I can't begin to imagine what would cause that to happen. And I know that even though men not very many men go through GBV. There's different forms of that kind of dynamic. There's emotional violence. There are men who get gaslit by their wives. There's all this other stuff that's happening. It's not on the level of GBV, but it's just as harmful and just as bad. And men you can't explain that to your folks. You can't go tell your folks that my wife gaslit me. How? When you can't control. I remember somebody once told me that, Yani, how does this guy expect to lead other people if you can't control your family?
Wow. And family is wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone told me that him and the wife separated, or rather somebody he knows, the wife, him and the wife. This is an older guy. He told me that he looked at that guy differently from that point on, because he's like, how do you expect to now be in leadership or do anything serious if you can't manage your own home?
Yeah.
That was his thinking.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter why it happened. It's just that it happened and you were in it.
Yes.
So there's this whole thing about GBV at an extreme, but just how abuse happens within a relationship. And I would say that it's important, first of all, you know, if you can, to identify some of those red flags before you start. For some people, you know, you realize later on that, by the way, I'd seen some of these things in this guy, but I chose to ignore them.
Because red was my favorite color. Yes. So the flags, you missed
The
them.
flags are nice. I'm like, hey, that's so nice. Who did your decor? This is awesome. So I think it's important to identify those flags when they're happening, as earlier on. If you find yourself you're already in the picture, you're already married, you're already in the relationship, then you need to be ready to step out if you have to.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing, there's no point to be made. There's no need to die in a marriage.
Yes.
If you have the opportunity to get out.
Yeah.
And if you find yourself in a place where you can't get out for whatever reason, reach out.
Reach out, yeah.
There are people who can help and help you get out of that situation.
I want us to, unfortunately, finish this conversation as it's speaking, and but definitely we must have a second conversation about this.
Yeah.
But Steve, as your parting shot, how does a young man keep himself pure? As your parting shot, you and another young man who is where you are.
I would say focus on yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's this analogy of don't chase butterflies. Like prepare your garden and the butterflies will come.
I love it.
So I would say that's my parting shot.
Yeah.
It's very deep.
Yes.
But it's more, what I'm trying to say is really focus on yourself. Focus on like what I started with. Be better than you were yesterday. And then it's a snowball effect from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. Mr. Mongera, there's a man who has had you. He's not even feeling more lost because now he has to think this, and what to say, masculinity is activity. How do I rearrange my plate? But in your parting shot, what do you want to tell that older man? I'll say older in whatever aspect, age or experience.
The most valuable thing that any man can do is to be the best version of himself.
Be the best version.
What is the best, highest, most impactful version of yourself that you can bring into every situation. And when you do that, then you become impactful all the time. And I think that's what men are here for. We're here to make a difference, to provide direction, provide leadership, to provide counsel, to equip the younger generation. And the more you can do more of those kind of things, and the more you can equip yourself to be the best person that you can be at any point in time, the more impactful you'll be and the more influential you are as a man.
I love it. Influence is big. So that man, because no, women, we are working hard not to get to that box, but so that man can find you on Legacy Project.
Actually, so you can find me on socials, M Mutiga.
M Mutiga on socials.
On socials.
We'll find you, and I can dump all my problems.
Please.
And then we take it over from
Hit
there.
me up. Hit me up.
Yes. And Steve, where can we find you?
On socials, at STVKRE. STVKRE. Yes.
Oh, like the consonants are not enough. So STVKRE.
Yes, just that.
That's nice.
Yes.
Oh my God. We have to finish. And what an insightful episode we've had today on Heartfelt Conversations. It has been deep. Some of those, we felt them deep in our hearts. But it's also been fun. Today I've been a student of what do men really want. I want to say a big thank you to the team that's behind that makes the magic happen. Thank you very much. I want to say thank you to our partners who sacrificially give to ensure that every day we keep Jesus on the airwaves. And you can be part of that by texting the word partner to 20316. I want to say thank you to God for allowing us to have this opportunity and just talk about everything that we have that is impactful and influential. So for this and more, whether you're listening, watching us on Family TV, on Family Radio, see you on Tuesday for more heartfelt conversations. I have been your host, Wadera Kibinda, and until next week, it's cheerio!